Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Mordy and Glory video. Today guys, I have a few more last minute leaks for you, and this time we're going to be taking a look at Hammer of the Emperor and also some new Scion rules as well. Got a few quick announcements I want to make before we dive into today's video. The first thing I want to say is I have made a consolidated guard leaks document. This takes all of the various leak documents that I had created over the last few weeks and consolidates them all into one place. That way you have everything in one place. There's also a link to the Excel document which has the guard leaked profiles and points as well. So literally everything is all in this document now. A couple of other updates. I have gone through, and any new information like what we're going to be talking about today, I have highlighted in blue. So for example, guerrilla fighters, we now know that's different to what it was in the original leaked documents. So I've updated that in blue, and anything that has been 100% confirmed, I have highlighted in green. So that way you can almost see that the tracked changes. On top of that, while I was compiling and consolidating these leaks, I went through and deleted out any of the parts which I think now to be false. So there should be no rumors or false information in here. Everything in this document should be as accurate as possible, and I personally believe that you'll be able to use this document to get a really good idea of what the final guard codex is going to look like. As always guys, please feel free to share this information. You can share the link, you can post it on forums and use it for your own content. If you've got your own YouTube channel, that's all absolutely fine. I don't mind you sharing this stuff around. All I would ask that if you do use the information, please can you credit the Mordy and Glory channel as the source, because it really does help support the channel. One last thing to mention: if you have found this leaked information useful and you want to go the extra mile in supporting the channel, then please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. And if you don't want to commit to anything long term like that, I totally get it. There is a tipping link down in the description below where you can chuck a couple of dollars at me. It all makes a huge difference. I'm not going to do the hard sell on you guys. There's no pressure whatsoever. But if you want to do it, then, you know, I would be really, really grateful for it. So thank you guys. Anyway, enough of that. Let's go through the new information now. So the first thing that I want to cover is Hammer of the Emperor. I can now confirm to you guys that Hammer of the Emperor has gone. Hammer of the Emperor is no longer in the Guard Codex. Instead, it's been renamed to Born Soldiers. Hey! Go on, guys. You had to admit, I got you guys. All right, it's now called Born Soldiers, and it's actually better than ever, okay? So it works just like it did in the past. If you get a 6 to hit with a ranged weapon, it auto wounds, okay? But even better than that, it counts as having got a 6 to wound as well. So that is right. Guard actually has, in a funny sort of way, better auto wounding than Votan, because Votan originally had 6s, you know, to hit auto wounded if they also count as getting 6s to wound, and then they got rid of that because of all the railgun technology shenanigans. But Guard actually get to keep it. Now the thing is, a lot of people are going to go, oh, day 0 nerf on that, day 0 nerf on that. I don't think so, because there's actually not very much it interacts with in the Guard Codex. Realistically, it's only going to interact with 2 things. Firstly, snipers, so Rattling's got a little bit better, but you know, they're still not an A tier unit. And secondly, it also helps with that one hot shot stratagem that you've got as well, where 6s to wound do mortal wounds, but it's capped out at 6. So it's a nice little buff to have, but it's just frankly not as broken as it was in the Votan Codex. On top of that, if you take the Born Soldiers regimental doctrine, and that's one thing to mention, this is now a regimental doctrine, and apparently you have to pick this one as your all-encompassing regimental doctrine, or you can pick 2 others. So for example, you could take Born Soldiers, or you could take Brutal Strength and Early Weapons, but you couldn't take Born Soldiers and Brutal Strength. Does that make sense? So it's one regimental doctrine that's all encompassing. So you get the 6s to hit auto wound, and those auto wounds count as rolling a 6 to hit. All models in your army gain the Born Soldiers keyword. Okay, now this is important because we've seen this before with other regimental doctrines. When GW give out a keyword as part of the doctrine, it tends to mean that there's going to be either like a warlord trait or a stratagem that specifically links into that regiment. So I reckon that there's going to be an as yet unseen stratagem that links into Born Soldiers. On top of that, your officers gain an aura ability, and it says platoon units within 6 inches can use the officer's leadership. So essentially, commissars don't give out their leadership buff anymore, but Born Soldier officers do. So overall, it's had a big improvement. It's 6s to hit auto wound, but that's now been improved. There's going to be stratagems that are going to be linked to it, and you also get to use the officer's leadership. So overall, I think it's had a bit of a buff. I know some people are going to be disappointed because they're going to think, well, I used to be able to get regimental doctrines and Hammer of the Emperor. I get that. So overall, I would say that it is a side grade rather than a full-blown upgrade. It's still very, very good, but I don't think it is going to be the be-all and end-all. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be instinctively saying, I'm just going to take Hammer of the Emperor again. I'm going to take Born Soldiers, whatever you want to call it. That's the one I'm just going to slap on my army. It's going to give me a direct power boost. And I know a lot of people are going to have that gut instinct. But if I may provide a small piece of analysis based on the playtesting games that I have done. So I've played probably half a dozen games with this codex. Now I've done a couple of battle reports with it. And what I would say is that this is not your 8th edition codex. This is your 9th edition codex. Now, that might sound obvious, but hear me out. The 8th edition codex was all about volume of fire. Think about it. Your Russes were double shooting, and your infantry could get 4 shots per guy with lasguns. When Hammer of the Emperor first came out, everyone was vapor waving people with conscripts with first rank fire, second rank fire. That was what Hammer of the Emperor was really doing. The new Guard codex is a lot less about quantity of firepower and a lot more about quality of firepower. So for example, your Lehman Russes aren't double shooting anymore, and their number of shots that they can get, their ceiling for that has gone down. So previously your max shots was 12, now your max shots is 9. Okay, so you're going to find that the volume of firepower that you're putting out from your big guns is going to be quite a bit lower. Likewise with your infantry, you're not going to be having 4 shots coming out of each guy anymore. Realistically, you're looking at using take aim over first rank fire, second rank fire pretty much every day of the week. So overall, the volume of fire has significantly come down. Now that's important because what that means, if you're putting less shots out, you're having less opportunities to trigger Hammer of the Emperor / Born Soldiers, whatever you want to call it. So I would just caution those people who are thinking, I'm just going to slap this thing on top of my army just like before and things will be exactly the way they are now. I'll just caution you against that. I think, yes, there are ways to build volume of fire into your guard list, of course, but I suspect that it's not as good as it once was simply because you don't have the output that you once did. And my final thoughts on Born Soldiers / Hammer of the Emperor is that I think that if you're taking a jack of all trades, master of none, take all comers, hybrid guard army, which is made up of all the different branches, you've got some combat, some shooting, some tanks, some infantry, a little bit of everything, and you're not specializing down one role or one theme, slapping Hammer of the Emperor / Born Soldiers on top is definitely the way to go. However, I think there are combinations of 2 regimental doctrines that will end up being more powerful. So that's kind of my thoughts on how I think Born Soldiers is going to work in the new codex. Moving on from the Hammer of the Emperor, we have the Scalpel, the Surgical Strike Boys. We have the Scions, and the Scions are going to be getting 3 unique Warlord traits in the new Guard Codex. Interestingly, all of these are auras, and all of them are actually pretty bloody good. So the first one is Drill Commander, friendly Militarm Tempested Infantry within 6 inches of the Warlord ignore the normal rules for rapid fire weapons. Instead, they always make double the number of shots with each rapid fire weapon. For example, a rapid fire 1 weapon would make 2 shots at any range. So this is going to affect your rapid fire hotshot lasguns. It's going to affect your hotshot volley guns because they're rapid fire now. And the big one is it's going to affect your plasma. So I think what's really nice about this is it means that Scions are going to be less dependent on dropping in within half range and double tapping plasma and then sort of dying. You know, those traditional suicide plasma drops of the Scions. I think with this Warlord trait, you won't be as reliant on that. You'll be able to have a nice castle of guys holding a midfield objective board, blasting out at long range with their plasma guns and their volley guns, and overall having a great time. I can see the Drill Commander Warlord trait being taken on a Tempesta Prime and him with his command squad and 3 squads of Scions all decked out with plasma and volley guns holding a nice central objective, and that's a really tough nut to crack because there's bodies there, there's firepower there, and overall that's really powerful. You could combine that with things like the Refractor Field Generator Relic, and you've got a nice little castle that you can use to hold pretty much any objective on the board and not compromise your firepower whilst doing that. So overall, I think Drill Commander adds a really interesting aspect to the Scions because it means that they're no longer so beholden to that close range firepower that normally they really have to rely upon. So the next warlord trait is precision targeting. Friendly military tempested infantry within 6 inches of the warlord are affected. When making range attacks, the enemy target does not gain the benefits of cover. This seems to imply it would affect both dense and light. It doesn't say the saving throws, they don't benefit from the saving throws of cover or anything like that. It just says the benefits of cover. So that's pretty good. That's like having veteran guerrillas as a regiment trait, but also in an aura. So instead of taking veteran guerrillas, you could take something else. Overall, I think that's pretty powerful, and the benefit of this is that it's at any range. It's not within half range. So these first two, I think, are really nice because they pair really well with the fact that Scions have got much longer range than we're used to at the moment. I mean, think about it. Scions used to have an 18-inch range, and now they've got a 24-inch range. If they're able to take regimental doctrines and you can give them heirloom weapons, suddenly you've got hotshot lasguns at a 28-inch range, and you're able to put these long-range buffs on them. Either they're getting maximum shots or they're ignoring enemy cover. Either way, you're getting a lot of bonuses for taking these warlord traits. So overall, I think drill commander and precision targeting are pretty good. I think you can get the same effect of precision targeting from something like veteran guerrillas. I get that. But the good thing about having precision targeting, it means that you don't need to take veteran guerrillas. It frees a regiment trait, and then you can get all the benefits and then some extra ones by picking a different regiment trait as well. So overall, I definitely like precision targeting. I definitely like drill command. I think they're two very powerful ones that add an extra dimension to the Scions. Last but certainly not least, we have uncompromising prosecution, and this is my personal favorite one. Friendly militarum infantry units within 6 inches of the warlord are affected. When making range attacks within half range, improve the AP of the attack by 1. That is just a straight up damage boost. The reason why I like this one more than I like precision targeting is because the extra AP is basically the same thing as ignoring cover. Yes, you have to be up close and personal. Yes, you have to be within half range. Okay, I get that. But a lot of the time, my Scions are going to be in half range if I'm taking a more traditional stylist of dropping down, smashing the entire area, killing anything with more than 2 legs, using that deep strike ability. So I really like this one. And there's nothing saying you can't stack this with the take aim order, which would give you another AP. So you would have Scions hitting on 2s with take aim with AP -4 hotshot lasguns, or AP -5 plasma, or AP -6 melter guns. You got a melter gun with the same AP as a goddamn volcano cannon. It's just brilliant. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I think that the first two are a little bit more wrinkly brains, but I think that uncompromising prosecution is the smooth brain option, which allows you to just slap it into a list. It's take all comers. It doesn't matter how it works. It just means that you can just take it and get a straight up damage boost. The good thing about all of these warlord traits is you don't actually need to just pick one. Don't forget that there is a stratagem called Officer Cadre that lets you get an additional warlord trait. There's nothing stopping you from being able to pick 2 of these. So you might be like, you know what's even better? I'm going to have precision targeting, and I'm going to have uncompromising prosecution, and I'm going to have AP -4 weapons that ignore the enemy cover. It's like, wow, okay, yeah, that's pretty tasty. That's pretty bloody tasty. Or you could be like, I'm going to have, you wouldn't take drill command on uncompromising prosecution because there's no real point in doing it. Those two don't really go well together. But I think, you know, if you were to take 2 of these, you're always going to take precision targeting, and then you're going to pick either drill commander or you're going to take uncompromising prosecution. So that's how I kind of see you doubling up on these warlord traits. Overall, though, they're all pretty nice and they're all pretty useful. One last little leak to make you guys aware of is there's a relic chainsword as well, and I believe it's called the Legacy of Calidus, although I may have got that name incorrect. It is a melee weapon. It's an upgrade for a chainsword. It gives you strength +1, AP -2, damage 2, and the bearer gets +3 attacks. Comparing that with the Clawed Desert Tigers, you're essentially giving up 1 strength and 1 AP to have the same damage but an extra attack. I think math-wise, they probably work out to be very, very similar. Either way, the Legacy of Calidus or the Clawed Desert Tigers, it's kind of fun, it's kind of cool, but, you know, most most melee relics of the guard are more fluff upgrades than actually sort of more powerful competitive upgrades. But it's pretty cool. And for those of you that you know, like to run guard combat characters, looking at you Catachan players out there, you can actually make a couple of decent guard combat characters now between the Claw Desert Tigers and this Relic Chainsword. So it's a nice little upgrade, but I don't think you're going to see it used too much. The one thing I would mention is it is one of the relics, like the Emperor's Fury and like the Barbican's Key, that you can put on a sergeant using a stratagem. So it's pretty interesting. There may be some play if you put it on a Catachan squad, and now that we know they get exploding sixes in combat, it could work out quite nicely there. But overall, it's I would call it a bit of a fluff upgrade. One very small piece of additional information, guys, and this is more of a heads up than anything else. I believe that there is an entire page of stratagems that we've not seen yet, okay? And that is where, you know, Vengeance of Acadia came from, because that was revealed on Warcam, but it wasn't in the Leap Codex that I had access to. So I believe that actually there's a whole additional page of stratagems that we're not yet aware of. And I think that's where we're going to see things like Born Soldiers come into play. I think, you know, Vengeance of Acadia and some of those other stratagems that we knew the name of, but we didn't know the rules of. So that's pretty exciting. So even though we know a lot about the new Guard Codex, there's still plenty of information to get excited for when the final product actually does drop. But that's all for today. Let me know what you think down in that comment section below. Are you going to stick to using Hammer of the Emperor / Born Soldiers, or are you going to be open to some of the new regiment traits? Also, what is your favorite one of those Scion Warlord traits? Which one do you think is going to have the most play? Let me know down in that comment section. If you've enjoyed today's video, then please consider giving the video a like. And if you want to make sure you never miss an episode, smash that subscribe button like it is a big titty Eldar girlfriend. And if you want to go the extra mile when supporting the channel, then please consider becoming a Patreon or channel member. It makes a huge difference, and one of the big benefits of becoming a member or Patreon is that you gain access to the Mordy and Glory Discord. It's a really active community. We've got over 600 active people in there now. It's always popping off. It's always busy. There's always someone to chat to. It's just great. So if that sounds like a lot of fun, you want to get involved, then please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon. And I just want to take a moment now and say a big thank you to our latest channel members. So thank you to Gimpy Buffalo, Fran, Burger Dan, Colson, Viper, Zach Weber, Aaron, Martin, and Dan C19. Thank you guys for doing your part. Thank you for joining the Mordian 50th Rifles. And also a huge thank you to the latest Patreon supporters as well. So thank you to Imperial Jake, Ryan Kelly, Freddie DB, DubX298, Harrison Garland, Viper, and Nathan Colozo. Thank you guys for your ongoing Patreon support. And of course, last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to my top tier Patreon supporters. These are the War Masters, the people that have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty when it comes to supporting the channel. So a massive thank you to Bonbon Vert, Navy Veteran, Bill French, Ross Miller, Tequal, Alex Dengal, John Stubbs, Nicholas Walsh, Swordfish Trombone, Diesel Fox, Tom Sutton, and of course, Sly Varney, the one-man Super Chat Army. Thank you to all of you guys. Your ongoing support makes a huge, huge difference and is a massive part of how I can do the Mordy and Glory channel full time now. So thank you so much. It's genuinely life-changing. I hope you've all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching. And of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.